Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Project 31 channel. We're so glad you're here. And if you're new to the channel, just be sure and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. That helps our content get out to more people. So today we have one of our leaders, Deby Justus. Deby, tell us how you found Project 31, and then we want to hear more about your cancer diagnosis. But how'd you find us?
I found you guys from a brochure in my surgeon's office. Yeah, I went in right after I was diagnosed, and I called you guys, and Becky actually met with me within 2 weeks.
You plugged right in.
I did.
That's good. So when were you diagnosed?
June of 2018 with triple negative breast cancer, grade 2B.
Wow.
So yeah.
Kind of aggressive.
Yes. So.
Now, was there a history of breast cancer or anything like that? Like, was any of that on your radar
No,
in your family?
It was not. And I had done mammograms, I think, since I was 35. By this time, I'm 58. And my mammogram that year was fine. And then started having, I thank God for nipple discharge. That was literally my only symptom.
Really?
There was no bump, no knot. The mammogram had been clean. When I started having this, it would kind of come and go.
Huh.
And so they did like another mammogram. So I got two. Well, actually, I ended up probably 3 that year. And then they did an ultrasound, and it didn't show anything. And the discharge would, a few days be there, and then it would go away. And so they finally said, well, we're going to do this really intrusive test where they stick a wire up the milk duct.
Yeah, that's fun, right?
Yeah, well, I got there that morning. There was literally, they could not get a drop of discharge. None, zero. So they said, well, if it comes back, you're going to have to go get an MRI. So it came back. I got the MRI, and they were like, oh, yeah, you have breast cancer.
And how long was all this? How long did all that take?
It took a while to get to the MRI just because of insurance.
Like weeks?
Yeah, that was probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, so quite a while.
It was a while.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And the whole time your head is just spinning, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, what is going on?
And I'm one of those people that Google. So, I had been Googling it. So I knew there was a good possibility that's what it was. But I think they were baffled because it would come and go. So, but anyway, then once the MRI, they said, yes, there's a tumor there. And then everything was like fast, on the fast track.
Right. Once they diagnose you, they do kind of like to go really quick.
I saw my surgeon 6 days after diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that fast.
Yeah.
And I was, 3 weeks after diagnosis, port placement, node removal, and then the next week chemo.
So did you do surgery first or chemo first? Okay.
Because it's triple negative. They
was
just
the protocol.
get you right to chemo. Yeah.
And so how long did you do chemo?
I did that. I did 8 treatments of the dose, what do they call it? Dose dense or dose? Anyway, so yes, I did 8 treatments total.
And how?
So every other week.
Every other week. So
Yeah.
16 weeks of that.
Right.
Total time.
Yeah, total.
Right. And no radiation or yes?
Oh no, I
did that at the end?
I did the chemo, and then as soon as you can do it, right after that, a lumpectomy is what I ended up with.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but that's what, anyway, surgeon and oncologist and everybody were like, I think that's your best. So, and then I did the radiation, the 33 rounds of radiation.
And then did you do 33? That's quite a few.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Then did you do reconstruction?
No, because the lumpectomy was, even though it was quite a bit, there's still plenty there. So I just.
You were good?
Yeah. At my age, I was kind of like, no. And I wanted to get back to work.
Well, it's a lot of extra surgeries if you don't.
So I didn't. And with doing the lumpectomy and then all the radiation, the percentage of reoccurrence was not much different with mine than if I had done a mastectomy.
Yeah.
So.
And so how far out are you now?
I will be 5 years in June. I know, that's the big one.
That is the big one.
Actually, 3 years with triple negative was pretty big.
I know, right?
Yeah, and now 5 years is like huge. So, yeah.
So what surprised you the most about having the C word pronounced on you?
You know what was, I think one of the hardest things was just, I remember we were on vacation when they called me. and they didn't want to do it that way. They wanted to do it in person. I was like, no, just call me.
Right.
I'm in the mountains in Colorado. I'm like, if I'm going to get news, that's a better place. So, yeah. So, but then when we got home and had to call our kids,
Yeah.
I made my husband do it. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
So, and then telling family.
Yeah.
And you get, I mean, I'm almost 5 years out and it chokes you up.
Listen, I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. It does choke you up.
It does.
Because it's so, it's such a deep wound.
Yeah.
It's a deep wound that just, and to share that with people is hard too, you know. To
Well,
say,
and being
this is
the-
what I'm having to
yeah.
go through, this is what I'm having to face, you know.
Being the mom and control person,
Absolutely.
you know, as women, we all go, well, you know, we take care of people we don't
Right.
get taken care of.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's probably the hardest.
That is it's one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. But, so you've had now routine follow-ups
Yeah.
all these years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good all these years, right?
Yes.
Did you have any lasting, like, chemo side effects or radiation side effects? Did you have anything that you, like, did you have any lymphedema or anything
Yes.
like that?
Yes. And yes. I would say mild neuropathy.
Okay. During or after?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Still.
Hands or feet?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, fingers and toes mainly.
Okay.
And mainly like at the end of the day when I'd be done working and I'd come home and sit down and go, oh, my toes are numb.
Interesting.
Like I didn't notice it so much when I was working
Well, that's
because I'm on
good.
my feet.
Yeah.
But that has gotten milder over the 5 years. It's not as severe.
Do you still notice it daily?
No, not
Okay.
daily. So I'm surprised at that because I kind of thought it was like you get to a point and then that's what you're going to be the rest of your life. But mine actually is kind of faded.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's there. I never was at a point like where I would drop something or, you know, it was never that bad. The lymphedema was bad-ish. I had really bad cording, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Right.
No, really bad. And that, actually when my surgeon did the lumpectomy, she said, well, I'm going to take out, because the lymphedema, the cording went over the tumor.
Oh,
And she said, I'm going to take some extra out. And I was like, go for it. And the day after surgery, the cording was gone.
Wow.
She said,
Nice.
I hoped it would do that, but I didn't really think it would, but it did.
So you didn't have to address that with physical therapy? as
No,
much?
I had been doing physical therapy for it, but then that was gone. The lymphedema was still there, and you know, I had a compression sleeve and a gauntlet, wore that, and but that over the years has gotten less.
That's good.
Yeah,
Do you know how many lymph nodes you had removed?
I had 7.
Okay.
They thought it was 2, and then the doctor said, oh, there were these little bitty ones behind, so it was actually 7. Yeah, but
So you did physical therapy for lymphedema too, or just for the cording?
both.
Both.
Mainly, the cording was so bad that I had to do it, and that did help, which is weird. I didn't know that you would actually hear the cording when it would break.
I didn't have any cording,
goes-
but I've heard some horror
Yeah.
stories about people who had.
It's really weird when it does. It doesn't hurt. It's
That's
just this
good.
weird sound.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and I actually talked to my oncologist recently about the lymphedema, and I said, okay, I know this is weird, but can it go away? Because I have not had to wear my sleeve in probably 6 to 8 months.
That's good.
I know. And she said, well, sometimes it kind of does. I went,
Mine very rarely flares up.
Okay.
But I would say for the most part, for 99% of my life, I don't have any issues with it. When I notice it is if I, like when I started going back to the gym and was doing more cardio type stuff, it wasn't bad, but it just, I'm like, ooh, I'm having a little lymphedema, you know, kind of flare up a little bit. I'm cautious still. If I'm on an airplane, I'll wear the
yeah,
gauntlet
I
and
think I probably still would.
I just take that precaution.
Yeah.
But normally I'm, like most of the time I'm okay. I don't struggle with it.
Yeah, I was grateful mine was not severe.
Yes, because I know a lot of people, it's quick, it onsets quickly right after their surgery, and they kind of struggle with it
Right.
for a long time sometimes. And finding a good physical therapist is key for that, because somebody who is a lymphedema specialist can really help you drain all that and get all that fluid moving the right way, and make your life a lot more comfortable.
My therapist actually taught my husband how to do the massage for the lymphedema, so we could do it at home and not have to always do therapy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because it gets expensive.
It does. That copay every time you go.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
So we had her do that.
Nice. Well, and it's not complicated.
No.
It's just you have to do it. And did she teach you the bye stuff?
Yes.
Do those every once in a while.
And the climb up the wall thing. I remember doing that.
Those are helpful.
Yeah.
So what would you tell somebody, or what do you tell somebody who's newly diagnosed, because I know you're one of our leaders, and so you see new people all the time, attend our groups, and what's your word of wisdom for them?
Okay, there's lots of words. I think one of the things, especially if they're facing chemo, I always tell them, I said, it's not like you see on TV or in the movies. They portray it so severe, so bad, you're always vomiting. I never threw up.
Really?
Not once. I was nauseous, but they have such good nausea meds, and they tell you when to take them. And so that's, especially the women that are doing chemo, I said, don't, because some of them are so afraid of doing it because of what we've seen on TV. So I say, no, it's not like that.
Well, it makes better drama if they're,
yes.
Hugging the toilet instead of just going, oh, my tummy's kind of upset.
And just the realities that, you will get through it. It's weeks, it's months, sometimes years for some women, but you will get through it, and have a support system around you, friends, family, Project 31 ladies, which is that to me was one of the most helpful things, being able to go on the Facebook page and say, okay, I'm doing this treatment, I'm having this symptom, is this normal?
Right.
And then other women would say, oh, I had the same thing, and I did this, and I went, oh, good. Because it's usually in the middle of the night, or it's on a weekend, and you're like, I don't know. So having that, not having to be so fearful, because you can talk to other women that say, you're going to get through this because we're this far out. And that was such hope, especially when I first got the diagnosis with triple negative, because as I said, I Google, and and your doctors tell you not to do that, but
of course,
most of us,
you're going to.
We're going to.
Yeah.
But anyway, and it's a lot of the stories were hard with triple negative and scary.
Yes.
And so being able to talk to a triple negative lady that's 10 years out,
right?
I'm like, oh, okay,
exactly.
I may get to see my grandkids grow up.
Exactly.
So
I know the first time I met someone who had my same diagnosis, and she was 20-something years out, and I'm going to start crying. I was like, what? Because they were saying to me, you make 5 years, you've done good, So I clung to that. I was like, I want to be, when you look at statistics, there's the 3% people and the 97% people. Like, I want to be the 3% people. Like, somebody was in that category. I want to be that person, right? And so when I met her, I was like, yes, there's a living proof of someone who did it,
Yes.
And like, I wanted to hear her whole story. It was huge. It was huge encouragement to me.
I like that you used the word clung, because that's what I felt like I did. Because what you read and then what is reality, it's like, oh, I need this.
I need this over here. I need a miracle.
I
need the 3% to be me, right? Well, I'm so excited that, first of all, you're part of our group. We love you.
Thanks.
You're such a strong Christian woman, and all of our leaders are Christians, but you walk it out in a way that's really encouraging, I think, to a lot of our ladies.
Thank you.
I know you're leading our one of our Staring Cancer in the Faith groups.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a new group that we're doing. Tell us a little bit about how you've enjoyed that. How is that different from just regular?
Like from doing a support group?
A regular support group.
How is that different? Okay. Well, it's smaller for one thing. Like we have about usually 5 ladies, and then there's me, and then there's another leader. And then, of course, last fall we had 3 leaders. But anyway, so I think that they come not knowing even they don't even know what to ask. One of our ladies is so new, and, so they're just kind of, and then you're not sure where they all are in their walk with Jesus.
Sure.
So I love that in the curriculum, there'll be scriptures that will say, this is what you can hang on to. This is what, to deal, especially the different categories that we cover.
Right.
So, yeah.
So although we are a faith-based organization, our regular support groups don't necessarily center around faith.
Right.
They are informational a lot of times. They are topical often about the cancer journey and the cancer diagnosis. Definitely we do emotional type things too, but our Steering Cancer in the Faith strictly addresses what does my faith say about this journey?
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
because
it does.
For me, that was like I had a real, does God still love me kind of moments, after my diagnosis. And so that was important to me to try to hang on to my faith,
Yes.
And it was difficult for a while. But we appreciate that you're doing that. Wow. I hope you love it. I hope you continue to do it.
I do. It's been good.
Because it's good to have strong role models in that leadership position doing that. That one's such an emotional one.
Very.
That it can kind of,
yeah, it gets
heavy.
heavy.
It's heavy.
Yeah, one week we just didn't do it, and we did Valentine crafts.
Perfect. You got to have a break sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, let's have tea and cookies
I
and
love it.
Valentines.
Because that's emotional support too, right? Like that's a good thing too.
Because it's the whole person,
It is. It is.
And some, we may have some that come in that really are angry at God, and so we get to love on them, and so it's good.
It is good. It is good. Well, Debbie, I love you.
I love you too.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're one of us. I hate that we had to meet this way.
Well, yeah.
But I'm glad we did meet. I'm glad you're part of our team.
Thanks.
It's awesome.
I know it's where God wants me, so yeah.
Yay. Well, we're going to do some more videos with you. We're going to talk about some other stuff.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know, right? We're going to put you on the spot and ask you some more questions. But for today, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, and come see us again.